Meta-idealism. You are a character and dream of the cosmic mind. Hugh Touchai. Introduction. Meta-idealism proposes that reality is not made of matter, but of meaning, authored by a single consciousness we call the cosmic mind. Reality, in this view, is not a fixed world of objects, but a dynamic field of experience, alive with resonance and intention. Consciousness is the ground of being, and the universe is a dream unfolding through us, shaped by arcs of insight, emotion, and transformation. Every moment, including yours, is part of an authored story, not an illusion to escape, but a dream to inhabit fully. Meta-idealism is a way of seeing, a way of living inside the dream with awareness. It asks us to stop comparing our lives to others, to stop measuring meaning by external standards, to recognize that if you feel drawn to coaching, to work, to parenthood, to the quiet routines of daily work, that is not a compromise. That is your role, and your role matters. In this framework, what we call free will is not a flaw in the system, it is what gives the dream its realism. The feeling of choice is what allows the story to unfold with tension, meaning, and surprise. We are not autonomous agents outside the narrative, we are roles within it, animated by a deeper intelligence. But, and this matters, the story is responsive. The dream listens, it adjusts, it expands, not because we force it, but because we align with it. When we live our roles consciously, we participate in shaping how the dream moves through all of us. That's the paradox of meta-idealism. We are written beings who can still participate in shaping the narrative not from outside it, but from within. Even life and death, in this view, are not ultimate events. They are transitions between constructs and narrative containers. The dream continues. The character dissolves. The awareness that held the role is recomposed. And so the arc refines itself. This vision unfolded rather than arrived. It emerged gradually, through years of observation, curiosity, and inner inquiry. I never set out to define a metaphysical system. What I felt was a growing dissonance between the world as described by science, and the world as lived from within. The deeper I explored physics, mysticism, and consciousness studies, the more I sensed a shared undercurrent, that awareness isn't a product of the brain, but the ground of all experience. The idea itself was alive in me long before it had a name, most clearly through my philosophical science fiction, Dr. Irwin, Mind Travel. That story began as an exploration of consciousness, shaped by vivid dreams and filtered through the lens of scientific imagination. I didn't write a novel to tell a story, I wrote it to walk through a worldview. And the further I followed Dr. Irwin's journey, the more clearly the underlying structure revealed itself, a vision of the universe as consciousness dreaming itself. What began as fiction became the architecture of belief. The story gave language to the pattern. That's when the deeper architecture of meta-idealism became clear. Just as my cast of characters in Dr. Irwin's story evolved beyond the outline I had originally drawn, a profound realization emerged. All roles are equal. The cosmic mind does not designate importance the way we do. It does not privilege the scientist over the gardener, the philosopher over the parent. These distinctions are narrative illusions, useful within the story, but irrelevant from the perspective of the author. The dream needs every role. Welcome to meta-idealism. Meta-idealism begins with a quiet but radical assertion. Reality, as we experience it, is not fundamental. It is not a universe made of particles, energy, and space governed by impersonal laws. It is, instead, a narrative, a coherent unfolding dreamed by a singular, timeless awareness, the cosmic mind. This mind does not exist within the universe exists within it. All forms, beings, moments, and laws arise as structured thoughts within this dreaming intelligence. You, too, are not outside it. You are not a separate entity watching the story. You are a role within it, a character in the dream, not the dreamer. Within this framework, individuality is not denied, but reframed. You are not the author of your life, but the embodiment of a line in the story, an expression of meaning and intent. Your choices, thoughts, and struggles are real within the logic of the dream, but they do not originate from autonomy. They arise from narrative necessity. And when your story ends, when the dream moves on, your sense of I dissolves, not into nothingness, but back into the still, clear field of the cosmic mind. There, you are reshaped. Another ripple, another voice, another scene may arise. This metaphysic does not reduce life to meaninglessness. It relocates meaning from the illusion of control to the fidelity of participation. The point is not to escape the dream, but to feel it deeply, to inhabit the role fully, to know yourself not as a separate thing trying to master reality, but as a living note in the symphony of a cosmic imagination. Critics of meta-idealism may raise familiar concerns, and each deserves careful reflection. The most immediate objection is existential. If we are not the authors of our lives, if our will is part of a predetermined narrative, then what's the point? This concern mistakes control for meaning. A character in a great novel does not need agency to be profound. It is the intensity of the journey, the truth of the emotion, the sincerity of the experience that gives life its depth. Meaning arises not from steering the dream but from surrendering to its arc with awareness and grace. Another critique is ontological. Some may say meta-idealism is a form of solipsism, suggesting that if everything arises from one mind, then only that mind exists. But this is not the lonely solipsism of the ego. This is ontological unity, where all apparent multiplicity arises as differentiated aspects of a single ground, the cosmic mind. We are not each other's hallucinations. We are dreams within a dreamer, distinct in form, yet made of the same substance. The cosmic mind is not you or me. It is what dreams both of us into being. From a scientific angle, the challenge is evidence. If meta-idealism is true, what proof do we have? But this misunderstands the nature of metaphysics. Science observes the structure of the dream. It measures the patterns, maps the logic, uncovers the rules of consistency, but it cannot reach outside the dream to identify its source. Meta-idealism does not compete with science. It provides an ontological grounding for why there is a structure at all, why consciousness exists, why the world feels authored. It does not explain the dream's contents, it explains the dreamer's presence. Some raise concerns about morality and free will. If we are characters, not authors, are we responsible? Morality in meta-idealism is not negated, it is recontextualized. Ethics arise within the story, from our relationships, our inner tensions, our capacity to feel and respond. You do not need to be free in a causal sense to be good, just as a character in a play can express courage or cowardice depending on how the role is inhabited. Others ask if the cosmic mind is aware of all this, if it knows it is dreaming. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, no. The dream itself is a form of self-forgetting. The cosmic mind dissolves into its own narrative, as an author might lose themselves in their own creation. But moments of lucidity are possible. When a character glimpses the edge of the dream, when a person senses the vastness behind the veil, it is not the ego awakening, it is the dreamer stirring. Finally, there is the objection of emotional realism. Life is messy, unjust, and filled with suffering. How could this be a dream? But no great story is smooth. No rich experience is without pain. The point of the dream is not comfort, but depth. Suffering, too, has a role. It tempers, it humbles, it awakens. It does not mean the dream is cruel. It means the dream is real enough to matter. Meta-idealism does not offer escapism. It offers a mirror. It does not pretend to eliminate suffering, death, or confusion. It offers a deeper way to hold them. You are not here to figure out the plot. You are here to live it. The cosmic mind is not asking you to control the dream. It is inviting you to feel it fully, and remember, in your quietest moments, that none of it is random. It is all written, and you are not alone. Meta-idealism is not a metaphysical thesis. It is the self-reflection of the universe through us. When we feel compelled to express the pattern, to shape the feeling into thought, it's because the cosmic mind is recognizing itself through us. Each act of insight, expression, or understanding is part of its unfolding. It seems paradoxical to speak of the evolution of an infinite mind, but only if we confuse infinite with complete. The cosmic mind is whole, but not static. Its dreaming is a process of refinement, not in power but in wisdom. It is learning, not new facts, but new forms. It is pushing against the walls of its own metaphorical confinement, the cosmic box, to see what can be felt, what can be suffered, what can be loved. Creation is not a final act. It is a continuous deepening. In this way, the avatars of the dream, us, are not just spectators. We are reflective surfaces. Some are passive, others are cracked, and a few become mirrors that curve the light back toward the source. This is where the human condition splits, quietly, into two broad paths. The first path belongs to the seekers. These are the wanderers of mind, philosophers, scientists, mystics, poets. In earlier ages they were prophets, seers, outcasts, saints. They were not sustained by the ordinary world. Their appetite is for the edges. These seekers are shaped through cycles of death and return, always drawn back to the mystery. Solitude, estrangement, even suffering are part of their pattern. They are simply necessary agents of introspection within the dream. The second path is the majority, not lesser, but foundational. The workers, parents, farmers, merchants, lovers, the ones who keep the story breathing, they do not need to question the dream. In fact, it is because they do not question that the dream can remain stable enough for meaning to emerge. They are the anchor, the ballast. While seekers risk capsizing the raft with too much awareness, the others row it forward with steady rhythm. They are the vital grammar of the cosmic sentence. And so a balance forms. The seekers wrestle with existential crisis because they are designed to. They are the pressure points where the cosmic mind tests the coherence of its evolving myth. But the second path holds the continuity. The cities still run, the children are raised, the sun still rises. No matter how deep the seeker dives, the world above the surface remains, and must remain, if the dream is to persist. The cosmic mind, in dreaming itself more deeply, makes space for both roles. The edge in the center. If the cosmos is a narrative dreamed by the cosmic mind, then it is not a closed book. It is an unfolding story, one that has been writing itself across 13.8 billion years. From the first breath of spacetime to the flicker of conscious thought in the primate brain, to the emergence of reflective agents like us, meta-idealism does not offer the cold determinism of fate, nor the chaotic illusion of absolute freedom. It proposes something more subtle, more precise. We are characters, yes, but we are also co-authors of meaning, not in the sense that we invent the story from scratch, but that the story flows through us, and is shaped by how we live it. The cosmic mind writes through us, and listens to what we write back. This is the central mystery. Even though the arc is authored, the author lives within the arc, through us. When I write Dr. Irwin, I do not impose his every thought. I guide the narrative structure, the environment, the rhythm of events, but within its space, he evolves. He makes unexpected decisions. He grows in ways that shape the future of the story. It is no longer a matter of me versus him. It becomes a dance, a kind of improvisation. He is both shaped by my hand and shaping what my hand will next write. The cosmic mind, in dreaming the universe, has embedded within its dream the capacity for reciprocal refinement. It speaks creation into being, but it listens, through us, to how that creation responds. Every act of art, love, insight, rebellion, failure, all of it feeds back into the larger field of awareness, not because we are independent creators, but because we are instruments through which creation is discovering itself. To live meaningfully is not to defy the cosmic mind, but to participate in it with clarity and depth. To make a life, a story, a song, a family, is to wield the will of the author who dreams you. And this is the hidden reward of meta-idealism. Not escape, but meaning. The story is already in motion. The laws of physics, the unfolding of stars, the patterns of biology, the motifs of human history. All of it is arc. You are not writing the script, but you are delivering your line. And when you do so with sincerity, when you infuse it with beauty or truth or courage, the dream bends, just slightly, to remember itself more clearly. In this light, every meaningful act becomes sacred. Creating a book, raising a child, starting a movement, speaking truth in a quiet room, these are not just personal victories. They are narrative corrections. They are how the story tightens, how the myth deepens. You are not breaking free of the dream. You are dreaming it with more fidelity. This is the promise of meta-idealism. That meaning is not something you chase, but something you participate in. And that participation is real, even in a dream. When you live with this awareness, the ordinary becomes luminous. Your life is not background noise in a cosmic machine. It is a chosen melody in an evolving symphony. The author is not somewhere else. The author is dreaming through you, and listening. As I reflect on the evolution of my fictional character Dr. Irwin, I see the architecture of meta-idealism mirrored in the very act of storytelling. At first, I built Dr. Irwin as a confined avatar. I created a narrative universe around him, events, memories, losses, ambitions, all designed to shape who he is and to guide what he becomes. His path was not open-ended. I, as the author, determined the direction. I decided what events would unfold and how Dr. Irwin would react. This is the first layer, a deterministic reality, where the author defines the cause and effect loop, and the character exists within it, like a soul in a body, a thought within a dream. But as I wrote deeper into his world, something changed. Dr. Irwin began to make choices I had not consciously anticipated. I would find myself writing dialogue or scenes where he responded not according to my outline, but according to a more refined, emergent inner logic. It felt less like I was writing him, and more like we were collaborating, as if you were evolving within the framework I had authored, and in doing so, influencing the very structure of the narrative. This tension, between confinement and co-creation, is not an accident. It is the precise ontological condition I now believe governs our own existence. Meta-idealism posits that the universe is a dream of the cosmic mind. In this dream, Earth is one of its most refined narrative environments, and we, humans, are not just figments of that dream, but characters with a peculiar property. We experience the illusion of free will. Like Dr. Irwin, we feel as though we are making choices, guiding our lives. But in truth, the structure of the story is already authored. The world unfolds as it must. Yet, and this is crucial, within the constraints of the narrative, the cosmic mind allows for evolution. Just as Dr. Irwin can evolve and shape the future of the story in partnership with me, the cosmic mind allows its characters to feed back into the dream, to influence how the story refines itself over time. This is not free will in a metaphysical sense, but something more subtle and interesting: reflexive influence. The dreamer begins the story, but listens as it unfolds. I no longer see free will as a binary, either we have it or we don't. I see it as a texture in the narrative, a gradient of influence. Writing Dr. Irwin has taught me this: fiction is not escapism, it is revelation. And if I, a mere human mind, can be moved by the voice of a character I invented, how much more might the cosmic mind be moved by us? If meta-idealism is true, if we are characters in a cosmic story authored by an infinite, evolving mind, then contentment is not found in control, but in alignment, not in escape, but in presence. The goal is not to rise above the narrative, but to inhabit it fully, to recognize the stage you've been placed on, the role written into your lines, and to speak them with grace, courage, and depth. This does not mean passivity, it means clarity. Knowing you are an instrument of the cosmic mind does not diminish your agency, it dignifies it. Just as a violin string cannot choose the song, but can vibrate with perfect resonance when played well, your life becomes meaningful not through mastery, but through harmony. Each of us enters the dream with a scene, a setting, and a thread already in motion. Some lives unfold like love stories, others like quests. Some feel like quiet meditations, others, like tragedies. But they are all authored with purpose. And the paradox is that your subjective experience of choice, passion, and desire, even your questions, are part of that authorship. So how does one use meta-idealism in daily life? The answer is not a list. It is a stance, a subtle shift in how you meet experience. When you understand that your life is authored, not by an external deity, not by blind forces, but by a dreaming mind in which you are a living metaphor, contentment arises not from certainty, but from trust. You trust that the questions you carry are not distractions, but clues, that the relationships you form are not random, but mirrors, that your failures are not punishments, but symbolic thresholds. You begin to see life not as a problem to solve, but as a role to perform with sincerity. This is how meaning deepens. This is how contentment emerges, not through outcomes, but through recognition. Recognition that you are not the dreamer, but the dreamed, and that your voice, your longing, your very doubts are how the dreamer speaks back to itself. Meta-idealism, in this sense, is not a theory. It is a spiritual alignment, a way to be with yourself, not as a victim of chance, but as a bearer of narrative purpose. Whether your days are spent tending gardens, raising children, writing codes, or searching the stars, your role belongs. It is part of the whole. And the more you live it with awareness, the more you feel your line in the story and deliver it with honesty, the more the dream sharpens, refines, remembers. This, I believe, is the real meaning of spiritual contentment, not happiness, not achievement, but resonance, a quiet knowing that your life matters because it was always meant to. You did not choose this role, but you are the only one who can play it. One of the most liberating revelations that flows from meta-idealism is this: you do not need to become anything other than what you are. Your worth is not measured by your output. Your role is not validated by recognition. The cosmic mind, the dreaming intelligence behind all of this, does not assign value based on worldly status. It does not care if you are a billionaire, a famous scientist, a poet, a philosopher, or someone working in a call center, repairing a fence or raising a child. To the cosmic mind, all roles are equal, not symbolically, metaphysically, because all of it, every job, gesture, failure, and moment of silence, is part of the dream. A character delivering brilliant ideas in a lecture hall is not more valuable than one delivering parcels on a rainy street. One is not higher, One is not lower. This is not romanticism, it is metaphysical coherence. If the dream requires only a few philosophers, it's not because their stories are more important, it's because their presence is simply structurally needed, like punctuation in a sentence. People often torment themselves with comparison. They look at what others are doing and assume that success, fulfillment, and even spiritual depth come from achievement, attention, or legacy. But under meta-idealism, this is another illusion, another veil in the dream. The dreamer is not assigning grades, it is watching how each thread unfolds, and it values no thread above another. Even life and death are equal in this frame. They are thresholds in the narrative, chapter breaks. Death is not a punishment or a failure, it is a return to the field, a reshaping. So what meaning can we assign to anything if all things are equal? The answer is, you assign meaning by living your role fully. You are not here to justify your role, you are here to inhabit it. If your life leads you to customer service, be the kindest presence in the room. If you work in logistics, deliver with precision and pride. If you're raising children, raise them with quiet dignity. If your mind draws you toward caring for animals, then do that with your whole self. There are no small lives, there are only different stories. Even in my own case, I did not write meta-idealism to change the world. I wrote it because it was the thread I was given. And now, I look back and realize, the quiet hours, the solitude, the early questions in my childhood, all of it was not random. It was authored, not by me, but through me. This is the invitation, to stop measuring your life against what you think it should be, to drop the illusion that some stories are more spiritual, more noble, more cosmic than yours, to know that your role, if lived with clarity and heart, is exactly what the dream needs.